Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Tazz here, and welcome back to the channel. Now today what I've got for you guys is my Justice League review. Now I'm not going to go into any major spoilers or any major sort of plot points, but if you guys want to go into the movie completely fresh and just don't want to know anything, then obviously click off now. But if you've already seen the movie or you don't care for little small things, then obviously let's continue. So first off, I just want to start by saying I absolutely loved this movie, and I think it may be my new favorite DCEU movie. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to have to go see it another time, or maybe, a few times. But, I really enjoyed this movie the first time around, and I'm just really looking forward to the next time I get to go see it. But let's sort of talk about some more specifics. First, let me compare it to some of the other DCEU movies. While, I said this might be my favorite, and I think it might be, because, I really did enjoy all of the other DCEU movies. Really loved Wonder Woman this year, really liked Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad last year, loved Man of Steel as well. So, I really have loved all of these movies. I know that they haven't gotten sort of the best sort of, critic reviews, but I've really found them all really enjoyable. I've seen, obviously, they're not perfect movies. None of them are. Justice League isn't a perfect movie. There are some flaws in these movies, but I really enjoy them, and I think that people that really enjoyed a lot of the other DCU movies, I think that Justice League will at least be in their top 3. It definitely is in my top 3. I'd say probably if I had to rank them right now, I'd say probably Justice League, then BVS, and then Wonder Woman, or really Wonder Woman, BVS, they're kind of tied for me. I really love them both. But it's definitely up there in the top 3, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people that have seen the movie as well. But I definitely think if Justice League and Wonder Woman this year were a sign of sort of the way that the DCU is moving forward in the future, I definitely think we are in for a great extended universe. But now let's start talking about some of the things that I really enjoyed in this movie, and some of the things that I maybe didn't enjoy as much. Starting off, the things that I really loved in this movie was I really loved sort of the characters and just sort of the character interactions. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, we've seen them before. We've seen them obviously all in BVS. Superman, Wonder Woman have already had their own movies. Batman hasn't had his own movie yet, but you could just sort of throw together all the scenes from BVS and some scenes from Justice League and make a Batman movie out of it. I don't know. But obviously these characters, we've already seen them and they're just still great in this movie. Superman, not really spoiling anything, but he's definitely, when he comes back, he's a lot more Superman-y, I guess you could kind of say. He's definitely a lot more comic accurate. There's a couple of things that happen once he comes back are just really sort of like great nods to the comics, and if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it when you do see it, and if you have seen it, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And as for the, quote-unquote new characters that we haven't fully seen yet in a movie, and that is Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg. I really did enjoy these characters as well. I think maybe Flash might be my favorite out of these, out of the new characters, and he might be my favorite character out of the entire movie, just because he was so funny, and he just sort of acted like, how anybody else would act if they were asked to join the Justice League. He was just absolutely great in this movie, and he's just a completely different version of Barry than the one on the TV show, and that's not a bad thing. It's like they're playing the same character, yet the one in the movie and the one in the TV show are just like completely different. They have completely different personalities, and I just really love how they're both very different, but in the end they both still are the Flash. Now, as for Aquaman, if you saw the trailers, then you knew how he was going to be in this movie, and they actually made Aquaman super cool in this movie. I had never really been a big fan of the Aquaman character. I was kind of like Batman. I was like, oh yeah, he could talk to fish. Aquaman is just a guy that can talk to fish, but in this movie, he's just hilarious. He's really great in this movie, and it's just a completely different version of Aquaman than we've seen anywhere else. He's not sort of just like that grumpy, like, get out of my ocean Aquaman, or he's not just sort of like the campy talking to fish Aquaman. He's just a completely different version of Aquaman than we've seen before, and it's just a really cool version of this character, and I definitely can't wait for his solo movie. I think it's coming out next year, and I think that is actually the only DCEU movie next year, but I'm definitely hyped for that. And as for Cyborg, I really enjoyed his character as well, but he was one of those characters that he didn't really get too much screen time. He didn't get really too much backstory, but he did at the same time get enough backstory that we were sort of able to learn a bit about the character, and I've actually seen in a couple of different places that there were a lot of Cyborg sort of backstory scenes that were cut out of the movie that definitely would have been pretty cool to see in the movie, but I will talk about some deleted scenes later on in the video. But I definitely did like the character of Cyborg as well. I thought he was really cool in this movie. He's definitely a bit different than any other version of Cyborg that I've seen. Really, a lot of these Justice League characters are very different than the comic book versions of them, or just different than a lot of other versions of the characters, but they are still really, really cool as well. I thought that the CGI on Cyborg was actually really good. Some people in some of the trailers had said that it wasn't that great. I always thought it looked pretty good, and it looked really good in the movie as well, and I just really enjoyed this Cyborg character, and I can't wait to see more of him in the future. Now, while we are on the topic of characters, let's talk a little bit about the main villain of the movie, Steppenwolf. Now, Steppenwolf was just sort of there to act as kind of a plot device to bring the entire Justice League together. I didn't really find his character that interesting. I thought probably Steppenwolf was probably the weakest character in this movie. I'm not really going to spoil too much about anything of his evil plans or anything, but I just thought he was just sort of the typical kind of bad guy to bring an entire team of superheroes together. Nothing new, nothing crazy out of the ordinary that we hadn't seen before. I thought he was pretty cool in certain places, but just nothing revolutionary there with the character of Steppenwolf. Now, on the topic of some things that weren't maybe as great in this movie, I want to say one thing that it didn't really take away from the movie for me. I thought it was actually kind of funny, but there were some reshots done where Superman had a beard, but obviously you can't have Superman with a beard in the movie, so they had to remove it with CGI, and I'm sure you guys have seen, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sure you've seen some memes and stuff with, you know, this weird-looking Superman face, and it just looks really kind of weird, kind of unsettling, and the CGI is just kind of wonky on that, but that's something that you can look past and just sort of say that's pretty funny. You know, maybe when they release it on Blu-ray and digital and stuff, maybe they can do some extra editing to fix it. I don't know. I'm not sure if they actually update movies like that, but, you know, there could have been a little bit something done that could have made that better. I don't know, but that was just one thing that I didn't really like too much. And the only other thing that I didn't like as much in this movie was I felt that it was a bit fast, and a lot of this movie was actually cut out, and a lot of things were cut out because of reshoots, or also because they had to cut the movie down to under 2 hours, because the movie itself with credits was only like 2 hours and 1 minute or something like that, so they had to cut the movie down, and the way they did this was, I guess they cut out a lot of scenes that they deemed unnecessary. So, you know, in my mind, that sort of means to me that I think that they will most likely do an extended cut or an ultimate edition where they add in a lot of those deleted scenes. Also, you can find online some of these deleted scenes that were sort of leaked out, where they don't have like super finished CGI or anything, but you can sort of get the idea of what some of these deleted scenes might have been. But I definitely think that an extended cut or a director's cut of this movie would make it even better, and a lot of people that didn't like it maybe because of the fast pacing would definitely like it a bit more if they had this extended cut. But overall, like I said at the beginning, I really, really love Justice League. Like I said, it's probably my new favorite DCU movie, and I'm really excited to go see it again, and I'm excited to see if they will actually release an extended cut of this movie because, you know, I want more Justice League. But this movie also does a really good job of setting up future DCEU movies. Not going to spoil anything, but stay until the end of the credits. But other than that, guys, I want to know your thoughts on this movie down in the comments below if you've gone and seen it. If you haven't gone and seen it, are you going to go see it? Are you planning on going to see it at some point? But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But until next time, guys, it's been Tazz, and I will see you guys in the next video.